want to thank everybody for joining us on another episode of My Cream Podcast. And everybody know what cream stands for. Confidence rules everything around me, aka coaching rules everything around me, aka Christ rules everything around me. Today, I am your host, Michael. Today we have a special guest coming on to bless us with his presence. We have Vincent Keys, the NAACP president of Collier County.
Thank you.
Vince, how you doing today?
Pretty good. We're blessed to see another day.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that, man. I want to thank you for, blessing us with your presence, man, on the My Cream Podcast.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so very much for the invitation.
Oh, anytime. Well, Vince, I'm not gonna hold you too long, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into the interview. Vince, tell the people a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, and things of that nature.
Well, to get started, originally I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I have to admit that coming up from the bottom to here in Naples is pretty interesting, to say the least. I grew up there in Philadelphia from a world of poverty and violence, and so I have to say it's a pleasure to be here with the sun shining on my face in Naples, Florida.
Hey, man, we all are. Vince, let me ask you this, man. When you were a little kid, did you think that you would be where you are right now, and in the place and the stature that you are right now?
Had no idea. All I had was an imagination, and so the Lord put me on this earth to experience and grow, and I have to say, I have been truly blessed as a result of Him.
Amen to that, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Vince, let's go back, man. Let's go back some years, man, when you first got kicked off, in your grind, So let's go back to your high school years, man. When you was in high school, what did you see yourself doing after you finished high school?
Well, very much like your cream podcast, I was that kind of a person who spent a lot of time with a dream. And so I can remember those days of being in high school. And when you grew up on the hilltop of Overbrook High School, same place Will Smith is from, we spent a lot of time looking out of those classroom windows and dreaming about what life is going to be like. And I will admit to you that I was a student in the field of architecture at the time, and boy, did I dream about the house that I wanted to live in. And so definitely it was one of those kind of places that you were given that opportunity to dream. We were taught to do that at all times.
Wow, now that's what I'm talking about, man. Overbrook. Now I know why I think it's his studio. He called it Overbrook.
All the time.
Right.
We give a lot of credit back to Overbrook because we've had some world-renowned folk like Wilt Chamberlain, who graduated from Overbrook High School, and even some of my good friends like Andre McCarter, who played basketball out in California. And so a lot of people have graduated from the hilltop, what we call it, the hilltop. But that's right there in the heart of West Philadelphia. So it's tough territory. But like I said, when you can grow up in poverty and violence and make your way out, believe me, it's a good day every single day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me ask you this: do you think that so the area you grew up in West Philadelphia, did that give you the drive and the determination to uh, accomplish your goals and your dreams? Later on in life, when things maybe didn't go the way that you planned it to go.
I I believe that that was part of it, Mike. A great deal of it was spending my days uh, being raised up with values and lessons of my parents who raised us in the church. I uh, I know for a fact that my grandfather was a reverend in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And so every week, every weekend, we'd have to spend our time giving back and supplying service to others. And so I guess that's the reason why I spend so much time helping people today.
Ah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, all right, so let's jump back. So, when you graduated high school, you know, what what did you go on to do next?
Well, I'll admit to you that I had no idea what I was going to do. But fortunately enough, I had some good friends, and many of them at the time, you know, 2, 3 months out, were reporting where they were going to go to college. And something hit me in the head, I guess you could say. And I decided to apply. And fortunately enough, I ended up at one of the oldest institutions, oldest African American institutions in the state of Pennsylvania. I graduated from Cheney University of Pennsylvania, which was chartered in 1837. So it
Oh,
was one of the first historically Black colleges and universities in the state of Pennsylvania.
wow. Now, hey, man, that's on a whole nother level there, man. Cheney University. So, what did you get your degree in?
Fortunately enough, I graduated in the industrial technology area. I was always a hands on person, but you
Okay.
were always expected to look forward and plan what the future was going to be like. So, industrial technology taught me a lot. It gave me plenty of opportunity, and I'll never forget the day that I received my diploma. I was scheduled to go to work that Monday of that week, and so I couldn't wait to set the world on fire.
Vince, my best friend and I, we had a saying. We both went in the military when we graduated, and when we went through basic training, we thought about we talked, maybe this might have been maybe like 10 years ago, and we both said that failure was never an option when we went through basic training and AIT, uh, because it never entered our minds. Like failure never entered. It wasn't even like on the table. It wasn't even in the room or in the building in our mindset that we were going to fail, because we had that drive and that hunger to go and capture the success that we wanted. And so it sounds like you had that same, failure was not an option attitude, man.
I was on fire. I was on fire. I couldn't wait, and believe you and me, it was kind of infectious to be in and around people that were doing things, going places, wanting to have an impact on the world. And by like I said, by the time I graduated, I was set and ready to go.
Now, Vince, let me ask you this right here. So you graduate high school, you go to college, you graduate college, you ready to enter the world. Can you kind of tell the audience a little bit like what was the world like, during that time?
Well, it was just as troubled as it is today. I'll not forget that Ronald Reagan was president at the time, and I had took a job opportunity in the automotive industry, and that gave me an overview of a management training program that really led me on to being relocated. And I have to admit, it was pretty enlightening, because I don't think at that point I had ever been on an airplane before. So it was a new experience for me to be relocated out of Pennsylvania and on to the state of Michigan.
Wow. Now that's what I'm talking about there, man. So now, so you moved from your home where you grew up from, the area, and now you're in this new state, man. So how was Michigan back then? Because I know it's very different back then than it is now.
Oh yeah, Mayor Coleman was the mayor of the city, and that was enlightening, because just to see another African American running the city, and was bold, not afraid to say, if need be, you ought to stay above 8 Mile. But once you inside the city, you in my town. And so it just made me feel good to see Mayor Coleman run the town, and he did a fantastic job and was reelected. So at the same time, uh, graduating out of that management training program, it, I guess, had the Department of Labor looking over large corporations, and I was introduced into the sales department of the Bud Company in the automotive industry, and so my customers at the time were the big three, and need I say, it changed my life totally. Gave me a completely different perspective, and there were times when I was a little homesick, but I think I grew out of that.
Them paychecks will help too.
That's right. That's right. And so it was great, because that gave me an opportunity to finally play a little catch up and economically have an impact on the world.
Great, great. Uh, Vince, during that time, did you have like a mentor or a coach, somebody that was kind of helping guide you to navigate the waters that you was in at the time?
Well, I always look back and give credit to the people that were in my family, because, as I mentioned, my grandfather was a reverend. And at the same time of being a reverend, he always owned a lot of real estate. He owned a lot of real estate simply because he had a lot of kids. And I think that was his way of making sure that the family was well taken care of. And so if we ever needed a place to live or rent or whatever, we could go back home and get security. And I think I used him as a model, as my mentor, to say, well, when I get the opportunity, I'm going to buy some real estate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so everybody out there, man, Mr. Vince just gave us a valuable tip. Get into real estate, buy some real estate early, early.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I always encourage young people, when they're starting out in life, don't go out there and buy an automobile, buy yourself some bricks and mortar, and if you can, where we lived in the Midwest, they have what they call as a duplex. So
Mm.
you live in one part of the property that you own, but the other part you rent it out.
Wow, man. Hey, man, y'all was doing it big back then. Let me ask you this, Vince. So why, especially men, why when we get a little money, the first thing we go buy is a car and not real estate?
I think it's because we see all the glim and the glitter and all the bling bling that people wear, and it just attracts people. But when you're buying an automobile, it gives you absolutely little in return, and I'm talking about return on investment right now. Not that it gives you a lot of friends who want to be in your car, but um, it gives you that temporary gratification, I guess you could say. And so some people.
Vince, I lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Got you now.
Some people only see the short benefit as opposed to the long range goal. So you have to kind of sacrifice a little bit, and sacrificing will pay off in the long run.
Gotcha, gotcha. So let me ask you this right here, Vince. So, I remember when I was this I'm kind of telling my age, but maybe about 15, 16 years ago, I was trying to looking for a house to buy. And it didn't matter really what it kind of looked like, but I knew it was a certain neighborhood I wanted to live in. And the real estate agent would not take me, over there to look at any homes, and it kind of turned me off from, this was my hometown, kind of turned me off from, looking to buy in that area. Now fast forward, there are a lot of African Americans that live in that neighborhood now. Uh, so let me ask. So how do we, how do we not get turned off from, if we can't live in the area we want to live in? How do we not get turned off from that, but still stay in the market of looking?
Well, I always recommend that people should have, short range goals, and at the same time have some long range goals. Possibly, maybe the realtor was trying to say economically, this is what you can afford. But we know that oftentimes they like to steer you where they want you to go. So you have to know what your dream and or goal is. And I would say don't let them deter you from your goal. If you have a goal, go after that goal wholeheartedly. And always do your homework, because, you know, economically, you can have setbacks in life, and you don't want to overextend yourself when maybe you cannot afford the home. But if you feel like you can, go after it. Don't let anyone deter you from what it is you want in life. You're going to have to pay the price, and you're going to have to pay your dues. So go after whatever it is that you want, because if you can believe it, you can achieve it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Vince, let's go back to you in the automotive industry, and during that time, what was the uh what was your number one seller?
At the time, my number one seller, of course, was General Motors. And General Motors, pretty much dominated the market. But in the automotive industry, what happens a lot of times, you have downturns.
Mhm.
All right. And when that downturn happens, you have to be ready. And so while I was riding high as a young man, 21 years old, fresh out of college, I thought my extent of life was going to be right there in Detroit. But lo and behold, what happened? I got laid off. And so you have to be prepared always to dust your resume off and get back in the game again.
Wow. So how did you feel going from being on the top to now, you out of a job?
Devastated, devastated tremendously. But fortunately enough, I had a lovely wife who was partnering with me at the time, and we were young, and an opportunity came from the corporate office for me to relocate back to the East Coast, which was one of the greatest gifts from God, I think, because in spite of me being a little homesick out
Right.
in the Midwest, it gave me an opportunity to get back on the East Coast. And not only that, it gave me an opportunity to pick up another uh, area of technology, and I was going to move into the public rail transportation industry. And so I came back to the East Coast, as far as I was concerned, back on top again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now your transition. So you went from cars to now you into the railroad industry.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The railroad industry is a huge industry, especially on the Northeast corridor. Public transportation by train is absolutely a necessity. And so they gave me some training in the Red Line Road plant and immediately put me into customer service out into the field. And I started dealing with authorities all over the country. The first authority I went to work for was the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which is out of the state of Maryland. And we produced 136 cars for the MTA. And at that time, Baltimore had never had a public transportation industry at all. So we brought heavy rail to them and started revenue service that September of 1983.
Wow. Wow. Now
Yes, indeed.
you hear a lot of people talk about logistics and transportation services and stuff like that, and everybody always overlooks the railroad industry, but it keeps trucking, man. It keeps going.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't know where the country would be if it wasn't for the transportation industry. And I think that's what really made our country as strong as it is today. Transportation has been a huge part of moving people, not only people, but moving product.
Right. I totally agree with you on that there, man. Uh, I remember when I was getting out of the military and they came and they got all of our stuff and they were like, "Well, we're gonna pick it up on this day." And where I was moving from Colorado to Georgia, and they said we're gonna drop it off on this day. And I was like, "Man, I ain't even gave y'all no directions yet." So, but sure enough, man, the date and the time they told me, man, they dropped everything off, at that location, man. And I was amazed by, them being able to do that. And I know, today, you got FedEx, you got UPS, but I was an old country boy, and we just wasn't used to seeing people come pick your stuff up. You know, and look, Vince, I didn't have to touch anything. They came and got everything.
Yes,
You know,
indeed.
and
Yes,
then
indeed.
drop it off. And so it was very, interesting to me, and I kind of got into the logistics industry for a minute, and then I jumped back out.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Gotcha. Yes,
so
indeed.
how long did you stay with the railroad?
Well, it gave me a good 20 years experience because I left the state of Maryland and moved to the big time into New York City and
Ooh.
sold rail cars to New York City as well as New Jersey Transit, the Connecticut line. I mean, the Northeast Corridor trains are running constantly and moving people constantly. So that's really what opened the world up. And at that time, I started looking for a job opportunity again because I didn't want to get caught in the same situation as I was before by getting laid off. And so I said, well, now we're going to make ourselves more marketable since I'm in New York City. Let's see if I can get a job paying me what I really want to get paid. And so I started at that time working for a international company out of Montreal, Canada.
Wow, man. So,
Yes.
hey, so listen, man, to all the viewers, you know, sound like Vince, this what you did. You knew you was at the peak and you was gonna capitalize on yourself and not wait for somebody else to give you an opportunity. You was gonna go out there and you was gonna seek it.
That's it. That's it. And at the same time, simultaneously, we still didn't hesitate on our real estate game. We was gonna keep that going at the same time. And so every time I had to relocate from one city to another,
Mhm.
I kept real estate in our portfolio. And that I think is very important for any young person that simultaneously you always have to prepare for the day that you're going to retire.
Mm, that's what I'm talking about there. So now, Vince, you're in New York City, and now at this during this time, are you sipping on wine and eating cheese every day?
No, I'm sacrificing. I'm sacrificing because you don't know what tomorrow may bring, and you
Right.
always have to prepare yourself. So at that time, we're still sacrificing. My wife and I are living a dream, so to speak, and our kids are beginning to come on in this world, and we're just trying to not live above our means, but be able to constantly save and put something away for the rainy day. Because the rainy day is going to come.
Right. Hey man, that's a good valuable lesson. Put away because the rainy day is gonna come, and you don't want to be in the mud. You
No,
know,
no,
because
no.
you came out the mud.
Well, believe me, like I said, when you grow up in poverty and violence, bruh, you know that tomorrow anything could happen. Anything.
Now, during this time of your life, do you do you know about Naples, Florida?
Had no idea. I had no idea. Didn't even have it on the radar. Didn't know it exists.
Oh man. So how long did you work for the international company?
I worked for them up until 1991 when I came to a junction point in my life. I was asked to move once again, and quite frankly, I felt like I had lived out of a suitcase long enough, and my family had sacrificed enough, because every time that you have to relocate your family, your kids take a sacrifice. They got to start all over again. My wife had to start all over again. My
Right.
family was just, tired of living out of a suitcase every 4 to 5 years, having to relocate to another city. And so, I had a decision to make. They wanted me to move to Montreal and begin the life of a Quebecois, which
Oh
is
man.
which is which is a French Canadian, and I would have to become fluent in parler français, and that
Oh man.
means I would have to become fluent in speaking French. So I thought it was just too much for
Mm,
us to sacrifice moving out of the country,
right.
and I decided to part my ways with Bombardier and move back to New Jersey, closer to my family, and to assist my mom and stepdad, who were getting up in age at that time. So we moved back to New Jersey.
Wow. And so now you're in New Jersey. You're putting down roots at this time.
Well, roots definitely for us, because we lived in New Jersey longer than I had lived anywhere. I
Okay.
think we stayed in New Jersey for about 10 years, and I just knew uh, that was going to be my home for the rest of my life. But fortunately enough, my wife's career was taking off then. We are both from the transportation industry, and an opportunity came up. They asked my wife to relocate, and I had it. I said, "Well, if that's what you want to do, you want to relocate, I'll do whatever you ask me to do, and we'll go down there and buy a piece of real estate down there and start all over brand new." And that's pretty much what we did. My wife was relocated to Miami, Florida. She always wanted to live
Ooh.
there. She's originally from the West Indies, and so when it comes to sunshine and no snow,
Yeah.
that's her kind of place. And so she packed up, and that was in 1996. 96, she moved to Miami.
Wow. Wow. I know that was exciting, man. Because uh, during that time, I want to say, I think I was just learning about Miami. So how was it living in Miami versus you know living in New Jersey?
Big difference. I had to get adjusted or acclimated, should I say, to the climate. However, I guess you could say I was kind of resistant, because New Jersey is kind of like my home. I mean, the next state over from the state of Pennsylvania, and
Right.
so I was resistant for a long, long time, because I didn't officially make the move. I was commuting back and forth for at least 2 years, until my wife got tired of that. She said, "I got to find you a job." So she found me a job down in Broward County, and I came down to teach technology to middle school students. And that's what brought me down to Broward, Florida, Broward County, Florida.
Wow. Now
Yes.
that's what I'm talking about, there, man. And so now, did you stay? Did you stay in the? Let me ask you this right here. How was the education system or industry back then?
Well, at that time, they were just beginning to adjust to the field of technology. And so I was really instrumental in helping the middle school. And it was a brand new school, change over to teach various fields of industry in the school system. And I have to admit, I really enjoyed it. I love working with kids. I love uh, teaching what it is that I know, and it was fresh and brand new, and it just created a another experience or dream to become a reality in my life.
Gotcha, gotcha. So how long did you teach?
In the classroom for only 2 years. I couldn't take it uh, as long as I thought I could because the middle school kids drive you crazy. But uh, that really opened up the door for me to become an administrator. And so at the time, my wife wanted me to build her own home. And so I guess I said, well, let me dust off my architectural dreams and see what we can do in putting together something that'll make you happy. And so we built a home for her here in Collier County. Had no idea what I was getting myself into.
How long have you been in Collier County?
We moved here. The house was finished being built in 2003. And I really decided to get off of the bandwagon. I guess you could say for good this time because there was a stint there where I dusted my resume off and went back to the railroad again, and I started working for Amtrak out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, okay.
Yes, indeed. And so it uh, it helped me finally pay off that mortgage and get that out of the way. And so once we built the house and was able to pay the mortgage off, that's when I really really decided that I was going to truly uh, take a chance on working for myself.
Oh man, now that's next level there, man. That is next level.
Yeah, it
So
took it took a good 40 years of coming before I felt confident enough. Before I felt confident enough to be self-employed, because when you are so used to getting a paycheck and then you decide to, okay, you're going to work for yourself now and you're going to generate the necessary income off of your ability, took took a lot of strength. I will say that.
so you would say that, every avenue you went through, you built confidence to the point to where you had the confidence to step out on your own and cut your own road.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Excuse me. You have to plan forward, particularly when you're doing some things, and you don't just have to depend on yourself. You got other people depending on you. So when you step out there and become self-employed, you really got to be prepared. You really have to look forward to it. You gotta have it to the point that everyone that is dependent on you can rest assured that the mouths will be fed.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That remind me of that commercial. You're always in good hands with They not a sponsor yet, so I ain't gonna say their name.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm telling you, fortunately enough, my wife blessed me with 5 sons, and to this day, you've got to meet those boys. They are really to the point where not only are they taking care of themselves, but they're taking care of their families. And every now and then, when they have an opportunity, they're always looking out for their old man.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man.
That
They
is, that is, that's important. That's important. So my boys mean a lot to me, and they've come a long, long way.
right,
In
right.
fact, right now, Mike, I have one that is in the automotive industry, and he's the vice president of the Midwest region out in the Detroit and Michigan metropolitan area. So he's running a large territory.
Wow, man. Hey, man, he following in your footsteps, man.
That's
Following in
it.
your
That's
footsteps.
it. That's it. I guess I'm leaving somewhat of a legacy on him because he's out there throwing down and doing real well.
Now that's awesome. That's awesome. So, Vince, let's fast forward. Let's talk about some of the work that you're doing here in Collier County. You know, as the NAACP president, what were you always in the NAACP, or
Yeah, ever since we lived in Baltimore, the NAACP headquarters is there, and my wife and I have always been members. We have been members, now since '83, and we were general members for such a long time. Eventually became a silver lifetime member, and just recently I've become a gold lifetime member. And so it gives me a lot of pleasure to to work in the field of education, because that's what the NAACP spends a lot of time on, is education. Uh, I am very much so an activist, and so I look up to people like Danny Glover, who stand next to the people who demand service, and so I love to volunteer my time in that field. I'm an advocate for service to people. And so it gives me a lot of pleasure really to spend time in the NAACP.
man, that's awesome. You talked to me about joining the NAACP, and I want to say I've been a member for 4 or 5 years now.
Great.
And I'm also a silver lifetime member.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know,
Yes,
uh,
indeed.
so Vince, when my uh I guess thinking of the and my idea of the NAAC was, oh, when I joined, man, we're gonna be like Martin Luther King, and we're gonna be marching and doing all that. And man, you have shown me that, yeah, we can do that, but let's prep for the future at the same time. Can you tell the people about some of the programs that the NAACP of Collier County got going on in today with the youth?
Sure, sure, sure. Number one, we put emphasis on education here in Collier County. It's probably our number one goal. We have several programs in the field of education. Number one, we have our world renowned signature program, which is our AXO program, which stands for Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific, Olympic Program. And that program works with kids in school to help them focus on their special talents. And that can be academically, it can be in engineering, any of the STEM fields like technology, uh, engineering, or math. And so we focus on that. And recently, we have began to add the A in the STEM fields, and that has now broadened it to STEAM. STEAM is inclusionary of the arts. I don't know if you know, but in many of the Collier County public schools, performing arts is a rapidly growing industry. In fact, recently told to me to be a $900 billion industry. So the opportunities are there, and we want to get our young people introduced into the arts and take their rightful place, because many of them have seen the big screen and walked across the red carpet. So that is one of our programs. We also started a Raising the Bar program, which allows us to work with middle school kids all the way through high school. So they start with us by applying in the seventh grade, and they enter our Raising the Bar program in the eighth grade and work with us for 5 years until graduation, and at which time we offer them a scholarship to go on to college. So it is a 5 year college preparatory program. And our last but final program is our National Flight Academy. We call it LIFT, Leadership in Flight Training, because we want to educate kids on the field of aviation. The field of aviation is broad and wide, and many of the job opportunities in the field of aviation can open up the doors to $150,000 or more salary if they apply themselves in that field. So it can be less, but at the same time, if they learn and get the technological training that's necessary, they can move on to job opportunities to take care of not only themselves, but their families as well. And so those three programs are our premier programs. We do have others like the internship program. So some of the kids during their high school years, they can get a job opportunity, and we will help expose them to the different careers that are out there in industry. So that is pretty much our educational program. We're very much proud of those programs, and we just love continuing to work with the kids day in and day out. We mentor them and help them focus on the opportunities that are ahead.
Hey man, and Vince, man, when I tell you, man, as the president, you do a an outstanding job. I don't think you get the credit that you deserve. I don't think that Collier County NAACP gets the credit that it deserves, because the organization is pretty much preparing leaders. The next generation of leaders, and that's rare in our communities outside of sports.
Well, that is something very, very interesting to us. We know that you can capture kids' attention when it comes to sports. I think sports is the greatest way that we can engage with our kids and take them in a given position and turn them, because they are willing to listen. Let's face it, kids are like a sponge. They'll suck up whatever it is that you are teaching, as long as you can influence them in the right way. guaranteed they will go. They will go. So you gotta stick with those kids and help them along. We just simply try and expose them, give them the exposure so that they can see the horizon that's just right around the corner.
Right. And Vince, I want you to, kind of talk about the flight program that's out in Immokalee, Florida, at Immokalee High School. If you can, just give us a minute about that program.
It's a fantastic opportunity. Let me say this, that it's one of only two high schools that offer the aviation program. And so for Immokalee kids that may have very little can wind up with a whole lot. It's an opportunity for you to sit behind a flight simulator, learn uh, maneuvers, takeoff and landings, learn the airport environment, learn what it takes to become a pilot. You can also take the time out and learn how to become an air traffic controller, given the right opportunity and experience. So, what we ultimately like to do is get a kid certified while they're in school. Either they get a drone license or they get a pilot's license. Today, many kids are getting pilot's license before they even get a driver's license. And if I had that opportunity available to me, boy, I tell you, the world would have been my oyster. And so it just gives me pleasure to see kids in high school take a class and learn how to become a pilot before they even get a driver's license.
Man, now that is awesome. And the thing about, oh, I think I lost Vincent. But the thing about this why this program is so unique in Immokalee is that in Immokalee, English is the third language. Spanish is the first, Creole is the second, and English is the third official language uh, in Immokalee. So it's definitely it's definitely uh, helping kids, and kids are going to take advantage of it. So Vince, I was telling the people about English is the third language in Immokalee.
Yes.
It's very unique in what you all are accomplishing there. Uh, so Vince, let me ask you this right here. And I know we've been on here for a minute. We're finna get ready to close out. Um, you have done a lot for the community, and now getting the opportunity to hear your story, coming from Overbrook into Cheney, you know doing the 40 plus years, stepping out on your own, and now giving back. You are the blueprint of live, love, and lead. And now you're the blueprint for Cream, because you talked about the confidence that it had. You know, where do you think our community can ascend to over the next 30, 40 years?
Well, the the sky is the limit. I'll give you that from a pilot's perspective. If you can look up, you can get up. If I could come from poverty and violence, anybody could reach for the moon. And I always tell kids, if you're reaching for the moon and you just might miss, at least you could land among the stars. And so uh, I love your podcast, Cream, because I want to tell the kids to always dream, and by having a dream, you can uh, uh, move forward. You can achieve anything that you aspire to become. You can do anything as long as you apply yourself. Couple that with a little education if need be, but go after your goal and don't let anyone deter you from it.
Hey man, Vince, I just want to thank you for coming on and being part of the My Cream podcast, where confidence rules everything around you, coaching rules everything around you, and Christ rules everything around you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to hear and watch our special guest, Vincent Keys. You can also find this podcast on your local traditional podcast distributors. Um, you can also find us on YouTube, the Impact Group channel, media channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Michael Patterson, that's my stage name. And then you can also go to the Impact Media channel page, which is attached to my page. You can also find us on Instagram, the Impact Group, and that's MMPAK. We're making an impact in the world, one family at a time. Once again, Vince, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. God bless you, and we love you.
Hey, it's been a pleasure, and I do hope that everyone remembers you can do anything you want in life, but definitely you need Christ to make it happen. So believe me, thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate you, and we got to do this more often.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You gonna be a regular on here.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
All
Keep
right.
doing good things.
Will do. Will
Uh,
do. And thank you.
You're more